right. It's an episode of Breaking the Safe. Yuval, we're welcome back. It's been a while since we've done this.
Hey, Ryan. Good to be back in a while.
Yeah, so we got together, what were we talking, earlier this week or late last week, and we talked about doing something kind of interesting with Breaking the Safe. And so I don't know if we talked about this in a previous episode. Back in 2020, during the pandemic, I joined Yuval for his Implementing Safe back when it was at 5.0, the 4-day course where he teaches I think it's the SPC course. Is that right, Yuval?
It's the Implementing Safe class with the SPC certification, Safe Practice Consultant certification. Yeah.
And so Yuval teaches a really good safe course. It was one of those things where it's like, all right, we have the time since we're all home and not traveling. He was gracious enough to offer me the opportunity to take the course. And so I was glad to do that with Yuval being a fellow PST, but something I didn't do. I did not take the test. I did not get certified. I enjoyed the course. I enjoyed learning about safe. It taught me a few things, but we were looking at this the other day and the thought came up, what if I were to prepare for the SPC 5 test? We could document this. We could talk through it. Now, Yuval's not going to help me with questions and answers. He's not going to help me cheat. We're not doing anything like that. But basically have him guide me through the process of getting ready for this test. And then I sit down. I'll have to pay to take the test because my attempt has expired. But so I'll pay the fees. I will sit down and take the test. Pass or fail, we will do a follow-up video. We'll see what went well, what didn't, and just how big of an idiot I am. Or hopefully, I'm a new SPC 5. We'll see. But we thought that could be interesting for everyone else who's considering going down this certification path. What do you think, Yuval? Could it possibly
work? Do it. It could possibly work, and hopefully I'll have you more educated about safe, which could be dangerous for the next Breaking the Safe sections. We want to go into portfolio next, so we need to build you up to that. One other thing that you realize you'll need to do is once you're an SPC for version 5, you'll actually need to upgrade yourself to version 6, but that's an e-learning. Taking the exam, you don't need to take a new class for that. You don't need to pay any additional fees. So it would actually be interesting for other SPC 5s that haven't upgraded yet.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to continue if people like it. So let us know in the comments if this kind of journey is interesting to you. I don't want people freaking out. I'm still a professional Scrum trainer with Scrum.org. I'm still doing pro Kanban stuff. I'm not. This is really more of a what does it look like to go down this path, right? And so I'm sharing the Safe Studio, the My Learning section, and there are different things that I need to do. Now, I have gone through, I've got the digital workbook. I attended the course. There's some pre-course e-learning that I need to do.
You don't have to, but
would you recommend
be a good refresher? Yeah, okay. I mean, especially since it's been 4 years and change since you've taken the class, I recommend any refreshers that you can leverage. And the pre-course e-learning it's actually quite nice. I think beyond the knowledge about safe, as a professional Scrum trainer, you would find the production quality interesting, useful, something to reflect on. So definitely worthwhile for you specifically, Ryan, but others as well.
So I'll go through that. So I'll launch that and work through that. Maybe I'll even am I allowed to, that would be an interesting thing. Like if I just go live while I'm working through it and maybe just kind of share some thoughts on, I don't know if I'm allowed to do that or not. I'll have to take a look.
I think the actual materials, I'm not sure that I would share them on screen, but you can talk about whatever you're seeing for sure. So, I mean, reflections would definitely be interesting, sharing the actual materials. I don't know.
So maybe I'll talk about the pre-course e-learning. I'll definitely go through that. I've got the workbook from the course. I downloaded it. I'll be working through that. I did take the class. I did leave feedback. I gave the survey, some certification resources. So there are some things that I can look at. There's a consultant's exam study guide. So Yuval, when you're looking at these resources, like what do you think I really need to do to be ready for our next session? Like, how would you tackle this if you had to work through taking this assessment?
So definitely read through the exam study guide again. It will give you, the nitty-gritty details on how much time do you have, what can you have open. I'll give you a clue. It's nothing. What's the structure? It's not an assessment. It's not an open essay assessment like PSM-3. You're lucky there. It's multi-choice. I think in the last exam, it's not even it's just multiple choice questions. There's not, you don't have to choose 3 out of 5 in the recent exam, but all of that is in the study guide. It's also what's the material, what's covered, what are the learning objectives, which kind of follows through the workbook. So there's a lot of duplication there. The key thing I recommend you do is do the exam, practice it. You can do that as often as you'd like. And it's structured the same way as the real exam, a bit easier. And every time you run it, it's the same set of questions. So, over time, your memory is memory of the question is gonna be more influential than your knowledge of SAFe. So the first time you take it is a really powerful take. I'm really curious to see how much you get in the first time. I would say study for a couple of hours before you take the first practice test, especially since it's been a while. For people that just finished the class, I say, depending on what kind of learner you are, study for an hour or two and then take it, study for more. Some people just take it immediately after the class, to be honest.
So when you say study, is that really going back to the workbook and working through those course materials?
Yeah, the workbook as well as the linked articles at the end of each one of the lessons. So if you want to actually open the workbook later on, I can show you what are some of the highlights in each section of the workbook to look at. I'm not sure we can actually share that, but we can talk through it.
Yeah.
So essentially, at the class is structured in lessons. At the beginning of each lesson, there are learning objectives that you should be able to talk about. You could, I don't know, get Todd on on the.
Oh my gosh! You can't
yes,
Todd,
yes, I know.
I'm doing this.
I know. I'm kidding.
Oh my gosh! If he knew this, he'd
Your kids. Tell your kids about SAFe. I don't know what will be better on the way to, I don't know, football practice or a football game. And the last couple of pages of each lesson are also very important because, they talk about what articles you should be taking a look at, what additional resources inside SAFe Studio you have access to. So all of that is really useful for each one of the lessons.
Cool. So I will dig into that. So I will this weekend put in a few hours of study time. I'll take the practice assessment. We'll get together next week and we'll look at the results of the practices. My first take, I'll only take it once, right? So I'll
can take it as many times as you'd like.
Right. But I think I like your comment.
You only take it once and then we can talk through it and we can do it in Agile, study in Agile. Transparency, inspection, and adaptation. I think I've heard that once or twice.
All right. So the critical prep steps, right? I need to look at so pre-work. So go through that again or check that out. Make sure I'm going through the workbook, go through the exam study guide.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I've spent a few hours there, take the practice test. Is it a 2-hour practice test?
It is, but you don't have to, take the full 2 hours, obviously. But I think it's like 60 questions. Let's maybe take a look at the exam study guide. We can review that. But I haven't looked at it in a while, but I think that's what it is. The one other thing I would add is go to scaledagilepframework.com. Start with the big picture, and there's actually a new big picture for those of you that haven't taken a look, a simplified one, a big picture that has been optimized for understanding. It was launched last week at the SAFe Summit. I think that would be another good exercise for you to traverse the big picture, click through the different icons, go into at least the articles that are linked on the big picture.
Okay. So as far as like taking this test, I mean, like I said, we don't want to don't give away questions or give away answers. Just for an old dinosaur like me, I mean, how achievable is this? Like, is this something, am I going to embarrass myself here, Yuval, or can I actually, you think I can knock this out?
I think your biggest challenge, Ryan, is going to be that you're a professional Scrum trainer, if we're honest about it. Because that would be my hypothesis. There are, as we talked about before in last season of Breaking the Safe, there are differences between SAFe and professional Scrum. You'll need to really check in your professional Scrum trainer credential at the door to the exam. The mindset is useful. I think the fact that you know all of the principles, the transparency, inspection, adaptation, assuming variability, we're talking about complexity, all of these will be useful and they can help you answer, get the intent. There are some details that I think will be more of a struggle for you as a trainer. That's my assumption. Willing to be wrong. We'll see.
Oh, you could be
but
right.
Mainly, there are a lot of details, and you haven't tell me if I'm wrong, but you haven't really practiced in a safe world. So there are a lot of details that I'm not sure that you'll get, but it will be interesting to see. This is, we go back to what is this exam? Who is it for? The intent of the SPC is for people that have some SAFe experience to level up and become consultants to others and trainers of classes. So they should know some SAFe before they, take the exam. Having said that, there are a lot of people who choose to go into an implementing SAFe class as their first exposure into the SAFe world and still make it fine through the exam by studying quite a bit. So
sure. Good. Yeah, we'll see what I can do here. I'm going to stop sharing that. We'll put this back up. You had mentioned taking a look at the guide. Let me see if I can find that real quick.
Yeah.
And we'll see what we can do with that. Oh, come on. Why is it doing this? Here, I'll see if I can pull that up and we'll see how that looks. Here's the exam study guide. I think this is okay I think we should be able to share this. I don't think there's like state secrets in here, right?
No, it's open. The exam study guide is also available publicly, not just via the SAFe Studio. So it should be fine. If there are state secrets, they share them openly. So
there we go. All right. So you should be able to see that I'm now sharing.
Oh, this is.
We'll pull that off. Yeah. Consultant guide
past
here.
History 5. Yeah.
And it's not scrolling well.
No, it's not.
That looks terrible. Why does it do that? All right, let me see if I can fix this.
Take a look at this one. Here's the version that is available online.
I'll stop sharing that one.
Yeah, if you want, I can share my screen if you'd like.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that real quick.
Are you opening it or should I?
Go for it if you got it.
Okay. Here we go.
There we go.
So as you can see, this is publicly open. And probably what you'll see is that the exam that you're actually getting is 5.1, I would guess, if you're actually taking it right now, if I'm not mistaken. So my answer about the multiple choice was for the latest version. In the 5.x, there's still a multiple response format, but there's no essay. So 120 minutes, 60 questions. You need to get 75% in order to pass. And it's a web-based, closed book, no outside assistance, timed exam.
Very good.
And you can see here, as I mentioned, the different sections, learning objectives, and the articles that you should be pretty familiar with.
Very good. So I will use that as my guide for studying. I will work through all of those ideas. I'll take the pre-test. I'll try to get through. I'm not sure I'll be able to get through all of it this weekend. I certainly will give it a shot. But once I do that, I'll take the practice test. We'll come back and take a look. And I don't know, is the practice test, so if I do really well on it, is that indicative of, hey, it's time to take the real one? Or how good is that practice test at gauging whether or not I'm ready?
It's indicative, but it's easier than the real exam. So if you get 76, I would study quite a bit more. If you get 95%, you could take the real exam. That's my guidance to students, typically. And the real issue is, if you're going to start taking the practice exam multiple times, the grade is going to hopefully improve, but for two reasons. One is you actually know more. The other is you're seeing the same questions. So It's like the PSN, the Scrum Open assessment. By the time you've taken it 3 to 4 times, you're going to get I hope you're going to get 100 because you're seeing the same questions. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to pass the PSM one.
So this could be interesting, right? So so this weekend I've got plenty of time. I'll do the initial studying. We'll take this the practice test. Next week we'll get together. We'll talk through kind of the questions and the areas that I really don't understand. Or perhaps I can ask some good questions and you can help me out with those. I will not ask about any assessment questions, right? So I won't ask you about any specific questions on the practice test, but concepts might not make a lot of sense. And so we'll work through those. Like I'll take detailed notes and work through what's not making sense. And maybe that's a good plan and it'll be helpful for others to see how this works.
I hope.
Cool. Well, Yuval, I think this is a good idea. I hope people like it too. Anything you want to add before we wrap this one up?
Good luck, Ryan. You'll need it.
I appreciate it. No, I'm really kind of curious. Like, can I work through these ideas? Can I get a passing score on the SPC 5? And then if I do that, then we got to upgrade it to 6, and then it never ends, right? I just keep buying assessments and.
No, wait. The 6 doesn't cost you money.
Okay, good.
As far as I know, upgrading versions doesn't cost you money.
So I am interested in digging into these portfolio discussions, but I do feel like I need to be a little better educated before we do it.
So yes, you'll be an SPC, and then we'll talk about how to educate you on the portfolio stuff.
Perfect. Well, all right. I think that's a good kickoff to the series. So Yuval, thanks for that. Everybody be sure to like and subscribe. You don't want to miss whether or not I'm able to pass the test and the process we're going to use to get to hopefully get me there. Be sure to check out other videos in the Breaking the Safe series where we dig into ideas and concepts about safe. Big thanks to Yuval for joining on this one. Be sure to check out everything he's doing in the description there. If you're working with Safe, he's a great person to have on your team, consulting, teaching, training. So be sure to reach out to him as well. For Yuval, I'm Ryan. Go forward and do some great Scrum things, even within Safe. That's probably possible. And we'll see you next time.